I'm Megan. I am the editor of High Five, and I'm going to be using the Sloth Party Guide from our January issue to talk about what to look for in other stories and to use this as a launching pad for discussing text and information and all the great things that your child is going to get out of reading stories. So from the very beginning, you can do, you want to look for a story that is going to have text and pictures that are closely connected. The pictures should really enhance the text. They should be very close to what's happening. And so your child should be able to understand from the pictures what is happening in the story. And then with the art, you want to look for art that is colorful, bright, engaging. I love looking for art that has a little extra that doesn't get into the text. I think art has to work a little harder to bring out a little something, a little silly, or a little something else that brings out the feeling of the story without putting it into words. And so art that has a little extra, and that might be using certain colors or showing certain things in a room. In this story, I think that little extra, one of the little extras of this piece is that there's a book called All About Sloths in this first picture of the boy. And what you're getting from seeing this little book is that this boy who's hosting this party loves sloths. He's passionate about sloths. Sloths are the animal he probably looks for in every single book. And he loves them so much that he's throwing a party for them. But also because he has this book all about sloths, he is making sure that everything at his party is related to sloths and makes sense for a sloth. And that's really what a large part of this story is about, is throwing a party for a sloth and making sure that the food and the activities and the people and animals invited relate to a sloth in an appropriate way. So for me, I would say that little art piece that adds a little extra is that book. And your child may or may not notice these things right now or at the first reading, but it's the kind of detail that your child is going to appreciate when they look at the story again and again. And as we know, children will read these stories again and again. And as my daughter says, more. That's again in our house. And so we read the story again and again, and there's always something else to look at and to notice. And that's one of the great qualities of really, really great art that's going to be fun and engaging. Also, going back to understanding what's happening in the story is that the art should connect closely to the text, and you can do a story walk with your child. You can do this for any book, any story, and what you do is you look at the pictures together and you talk about ask your child what he thinks is happening in the story. What do you think is happening first? What do you notice? What do you see? What is happening next? And then how does the story end? So it's really getting your child to think critically about what he's seeing. And critical thinking is an important skill that kids are developing. And it's the kind of thing that we want to encourage in our children. And it doesn't have to be, we don't have to go out of our way to do this. We can just do it through a simple story here. And so, but again, because the text and the art are so closely connected, your child will be able to understand a good portion of the story without reading it. And then here's kind of like the secret, is that your child is going to feel more successful because he's going to understand what's going on, and he's going to feel proud because he got it, because he understood. And when a child feels pride and success when they do an activity, they're more likely to do it again. And in this case, that means reading a story or looking at the pictures of a story, and it makes them feel like this is something that they can do. And this is part of the, starting a love of reading and a love of literacy. So getting kids to feel that they can do it and that they know it is a really big part of that loving reading. And that's, I think, something that we really all want for our kids. So you can do the picture walk with your child, and you can talk about what's happening in that first page. And then what does your child see? Is it the balloons? Is it the presents? What is happening in this scene? I love that the sloth is hanging out in the corner with a little party invitation. And it so tells you, okay, there's our sloth. He's the one who's our guest of honor. And the boy, again, has the books all about sloth, and he loves them. So that's why he's hosting this party. Turn the page. And you get to see the sloth, so that you imagine that the party has started or the boy is imagining it. Go either way. And the sloth is eating, the sloth is swimming, and then there are two friends showing up at the party. And then the last page we see, here's the party itself. Here's the boy, there's the sloth hanging out, there's a cake, there are party hats. It's the kind of scene I think your child is going to want to jump right into. And just, he's going to stare at the picture. He's going to wonder, like notice all the little details, and there's so much fun in them. So you go through the party, and that's the end of the story is the party, and everyone's having a good time. And then we can go back and read the story. And one of the things that's wonderful about the story overall is that it connects fiction and nonfiction. So it takes facts about the sloth and puts them together in this really fun party guide format and idea. And who doesn't love a party? So of course you want to think about, all right, let's think about a party. And then you think about the true facts about the sloth. And it's this great combination. And there are some really wonderful books out there that are doing a similar connection and weaving of fact and fiction and presenting information about animals in a really delightful way. And I know I enjoy a lot of those books. And it's the kind of thing that also helps you remember information about these animals. And so the first off, the story says to invite the sloth to arrive a day early because sloths are very slow animals. And that's true. They are the slowest mammal on the planet. And then when you have the sloth eating, it tells you to provide leaves and fruit for the sloth because that's what they like to eat. Again, it's true. And so you can see that we're presenting facts in a really fun and beautiful way. Sloths are great swimmers, so make it a pool party. Again, really, sloths are fabulous swimmers. And then the last one is my favorite, and it talks about anteaters and armadillos coming to the party because they are related to the sloth. And this is a great way to introduce you to your child. Your child may not have thought about how animals can be related to one another, and what qualities, how might they be related. It's also a great point to say, hey, let's go look into this more. Let's learn more about sloths. I think good stories, they don't have to be about animals, but a good story is really going to inspire your child to want to learn more about an animal or a subject or a place or a location. And so you can use this as a springboard to talk more about it, about that place or that thing or that animal. And then on the last page, it's really just about enjoying the party. And so I think on that last page, the scene is so powerful and fun and so inviting that I think one of the great extension that you can do is use this sloth party guide as a framework to ask your child to learn about a certain animal. So what is her favorite animal? What animal would she want to throw a party for? And then you can go through sort of when you have to invite the sloth, what are you going to feed the sloth, what activities are you going to do, who else should come to this party. There's so many there are a lot of great questions that you can ask using this framework, and it's all going to inspire learning about a new animal. So again, you can do that. You can take the framework of a story that you're reading and use that to build on some creativity and have a little fun with it, but also again inspire more learning, this time about a different animal. So those are some of the fun extensions that you can do with this story and some of the things to look for in a great story. I hope you enjoy reading this story with your child, and if you have any fun party guides that you would like to share, I would love to hear about them. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the story.